Welcome to the channel of Butterflies and Things. Today we're talking about how to commission an outfit for your doll. Okay, so I have a doll and it's like, a really nice factory-made doll and it's a known one, but I want some special clothing. I have an idea, I would like something. How do I go about, and I'm not a seamstress, how do I go about contacting people, asking people, cajoling people? Who do I bribe and how do I do it?
Well, you need to commission an artist,
Okay.
and some seamstress who takes commissions. The things that you have to, there's some basic things like you look for somebody who has a doll, the body of the doll at least, not necessarily the same head, but so they actually have a model from which they can work. That's one thing to look out for, but also look at what have they made before. Do they take commissions? Not everybody does.
So you look at what they've made and then you actually contact them and say, okay, I love what you make. It would fit with my idea or it would fit with my specific doll. Do you actually take commissions?
Yeah, and that's a yes or no answer to that, of course.
And then you keep doing that until you get a yes.
Yes,
from somebody.
And then it's important to check with yourself how closely you want whatever it is to resemble. Usually it's like a life-size, a human-sized outfit that you want to go on a doll. You do have to realize that because of the scale difference, especially if you go like an MSD or smaller, you're going to run into practical problems and you may have to simplify.
If not everything translates to a third size of humans or a quarter size of your average human.
Yeah. And you have to realize what you want and then tell the person. So if you say like, okay, I would like to have him wear a jute material, but jute is as thick as it is. And is it, or if the other person says, can I use like a very coarse unbleached cotton to make the same effect? And you have to decide. You either go, yes, you can do that, and it's not jute, but it's something that looks similar. Or you say, no, I want the jute, but the jute will have this, it's the size that it is, and it will look much bigger on your doll. And you have to realize that. So the materials, you may have to compromise on certain aspects of your outfit. Like if it's multi-layered, if it's like very many layers, you get a layer build up much faster on a smaller doll. So if the outfit is like an underblouse, an overblouse, a vest, a coat,
3-layer Winchester, 4-layer Winchester.
Then you have to realize that's gonna get so bad it's gonna actually look bad. So you may have to decide, okay, how about we just do the color of the thing, a fake color for the first 2 layers, and then start layering the last 2 layers or something like that, so you don't get the material buildup.
Yeah, with my 3-layer Winchester, I actually opted for a shirt, a sleeveless shirt. Then the flannel had short sleeves and then the actual coat, which is not obviously what the real one would wear, but it works because you don't have the build up in the armpit.
And around the, because you won't be getting the coat on if it also has a flannel shirt under there. It needs to be difficult, and he will look like a Michelin man if you overdo it.
It'll start bunching up here, but it won't have the right effect. So you make adjustments for the fact that it is not as flexible because the material, the textile actually just does something else because it's thicker in layers.
And if you yourself are unsure, you have to trust your seamstress, your artist, to make decisions for you, especially if you are sort of going, I have no idea what the problems might possibly be. Then the artist has to solve the problems.
Yeah, I think that would be because I don't sew like that. I mean, I can mend my own clothes, but I can't really sew together a doll's outfit. Then I would actually rely on the advice of the artist and saying, okay, I'm looking for this kind of look. What would work for that? And I'm easy in the sense of, if you say that works, please do it. Other people might feel more like, no, it needs to be exactly these particular layers or exactly that type of material.
Yeah, and you have to be realistic. There is a limit to what can be done. What can be done, as in physics, also the limit of your artist's ability. And usually the artist's ability is in correlation with the price. If you can't expect to have $1 million outfit for $10.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, not in real life. And
not in real life.
Not in doll life. No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you have to be realistic. If you commission, it's going to be more expensive than anything you buy online, which is already made. So you have to wait for stuff, and you have to talk about it, and you have to pay more than you would for a off-the-rack item, basically.
Is there a possibility of me sending a textile to an artist? Say I have like real Japanese kimono textile, and I would like my doll to have an outfit of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just agree with her, him, that person to use my material, and then maybe they will say something like, okay, well, this will have an effect of X. Are you okay with effect X by the time that they have the textile in their hands?
Yes. That happens, absolutely. Little thing on the side is, if you send stuff in the mail that is irreplaceable, make sure you send it all track and trace. I mean, it's not 100% proof, but it helps.
It helps, yeah.
And so, that should be definitely possible.
So don't skimp on that.
Yeah. If I commission something, I wouldn't skimp on the materials. I mean, it's not... you can go bananas on materials. It's possible. But in the end, for a doll outfit, it's still... There is a max. You're going to spend more on the time of the person doing it.
Yeah, because it goes by the yard or the meter, and for a human you're looking at
many yards,
many of them, and for a doll you may be looking at only one,
or a half, or a quarter.
Yeah,
you know, dolls are not very big in textile terms.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't skimp on that. The important things is that you try. A very important thing is just try not to over ask the person. Keep it a little bit realistic in terms of for what you can get for the price. What you can physically get.
Would it be good to have a more lengthy conversation with the artist beforehand?
The more complicated the more particular your wishes, the longer you should talk about it. Absolutely. And if the artist may say, I can do this, or say I'm better at this than at that, and you talk about it. So if the person says you want something with beading on it, and the person says I'm not good at that, then probably
beading is not my thing.
So either reduce the amount of beading and do maybe embroidery, because the person is good at embroidery. Makes choice like that. And it depends on how particular your wishes are, how specific your wishes are. If you want a really nice dress, it is possible just to go to a person and say, I love the way you make your dresses. Make me a dress, and all I say is that I want it to be blue.
Yeah.
And that is perfectly possible.
I could so see that. Yeah.
And then you sort of get a surprise dress in the color that you want.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. You do have to talk about price, and that's a more difficult thing that in any conversation is you have to talk about price. They have to talk about price. You have to talk about price. You have to have an idea in your head how much I'm going to spend on this, and you have to try and find a middle ground with what they think it's going to take. And if they are not sure how much it's going to take because they are doing something that is newer to them, you're going to have to realize that you may have to budget in your head for that, for the time and the effort they take to do it.
Also, the time might be something to consider. It's like it may not arrive next month. It may take 3 months because she may have a backlog, or maybe what you're asking for is a lengthy project.
Yes, and I would say if you have commissioned something and it takes a long time, is you should keep in contact with the person. And it doesn't always work out in the end. That happens.
So if you say it doesn't always work out, is there a down payment, like an upfront payment of material costs maybe, or do you settle at the end? Because what happens if it doesn't work out and the artist has laid out cash and done work, but you don't get it at the end, or it does not.
I would say that some will ask a down payment, and basically you do that because it goes towards the fabrics. But even if you don't do a down payment and the project goes and it turns out it fails, which would be very upsetting, but it happens. I would say you should pay the costs that the person had for buying, especially buying new stuff. I mean, if they have say, "Oh, I have it in my thing," then you sort of give them some money to buy them something else. But if they bought something especially for the project, and the project fails for whatever reason, then you really should consider paying them, reimbursing them for that. Costs. The direct costs. But I think an artist would want to ask a down payment, and the down payment goes towards these kinds of costs that they have on projects like this, that sometimes it doesn't work out, or for whatever reason, maybe no fault situation, like they it was something that was dependent on a certain fabric, and the fabric was ordered, and while it was ordered it was available, but by the time they actually get out the scissors to cut it, it is gone. The project will fail, and you have to stop, or they send, sometimes that happens, they send you something because they think they should send you something. They sent you the wrong thing and you don't realize it in time.
No.
And stuff happens that is nobody's fault. And so, but the material cost is not the biggest on the list of costs. It's the time the person takes. And you should be realistic about how long it's going to take, because most people do this on the side. And they have a family, they have a job, they have something else, and they do it in the late hours of the evening, and so it will take time. So be realistic about that. You even if you have a doll that is outsized, and then you also have to worry about that it fits, and you need to measure. So I have a
example right here. The example she made earlier. No.
Philip is ready to be measured. I believe you have the measuring tape.
I do have the measuring tape. I got myself inches, I got myself centimeters. Yay. What would you like?
That's another thing to worry about. Try to measure in the measurement of the seamstress. So if they are inches, then you go inches.
Ask the seamstress.
Inches. Inches or centimeters. And that's why I have one that's in both sizes. It's also because of the head size is in inches for some inexplicable reason. The more known things that you want to measure is you take off his hair, because I don't need it. My hair.
There goes my hair.
The most known things to measure is, of course, his chest. Up. Thank you.
Up you go.
So when you do the chests on male or female, you put the thickest part of it.
Usually under the armpits.
Usually quite hard under the armpits and over the boobies for the females. He's a big dude. Come on.
And this is showing centimeters?
Yes.
So you need to know for sure that that's what you're needing to be measuring.
And I can do
Otherwise,
inches.
we do
I am quite metric, so I don't even want to.
Yeah, you're more likely to run into metric when dealing with European people.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call this 11.5 inches.
Absolutely.
He's a robust dude. So then you have the waist measurements. Oh, I have these upside down. Why? I'm gonna do this one right side up. Which is
suddenly we went to centimeters.
centimeters.
Whoops.
And
Yeah.
so that's 25.5.
Okay.
25.5, 26. So you should take all his clothing off when you do the measurement. So this one
But
is
for obvious reasons we will not.
because that's a crotch shot.
Yeah.
So then you will probably do what they call, for the boys, an inside leg. So you stick it up there and then you stick it all the way down. So that goes to the ankle, not to the ground. Is the inside leg. They will want you to do a more general from the waist, from the actual waist, so the visual waist down. Let me go all the way over here. To the ground.
To the ground. Okay.
To the ground. Oops. To the ground. And they will want you to do a from the shoulder points to the ground, which is about that. If they're going to make clothing that is not stretchy, they're going to want a lot more, and they're going to want the neck circumference.
Oh dear, yeah.
For the collar, they're going to want a wide on the shoulders. They're going to want circumference of the upper arm.
Yeah, because that would suck.
Yeah. They may want this one. They want a lower arm, but it's usually the big for the dolls. This is a special one for dolls only. Is
the width of
the circumference of the widest part of the widest hand.
Yeah.
Because this hand will not go through very easily, whereas this hand will be just fine.
Yeah.
And they'll want a thigh.
Yeah. And you go upper thigh because it is wider.
That's the widest, and if the lower thigh is outsized, so on him I probably want to do the lower thigh.
Well, this guy has
the lower thigh. The calf, yeah.
The guy has some calves, you know.
Yes.
He's been doing a lot of bicycling.
Yeah, and he wants to do a little bit on the subject of the feet, because you'll be able to put the trousers on like that. I mean, it's not going to be a problem because he already has these huge thighs, but the feet they don't give, so they have the same problem with the hands.
Yeah,
it's less likely.
I found
but
it with trying to get boots on, and it's a lot harder than it looks. And boots that zip open from the back. Kind of handy.
Yeah, and so those are all the things you want to measure. If you commission a wig, you want to commission to of course measure. Usually, if you have a wig that is commissioned, they will give you an instruction of what they want measured. But usually, it's going to be something like this, around, like a headband, like so.
Right.
But they may want to do something specific, depending. They may be very particular about those measurements, because if the wig doesn't have any give, you have to be quite right.
Yep.
So anything that doesn't have any give will want really good measurements. But if it's something that is stretchy, it's much easier.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully the seamstress artist will talk to you about what kind of stretchiness it is and how specific you need to measure.
Yes. Yeah, and they will, if you have like a doll that has like a special hinge somewhere, I'm gonna show this. This is for the more normal dolls. This is always a difficult point. Can get to it, where the where the leg goes into the body, because underwear can bunch there very, very much. That's why you want an underwear that has a little bit of going down the thigh. If you have a doll that has a special special moving part where you normally wouldn't expect it, you probably should tell them about that if it's going to be something that's closely fitted onto there, because it may catch, and they may want to I don't know, move this length down or up, something like that.
Yeah.
That is up to them to do, but they need the information, especially if they can't measure the doll themselves, because they are far away.
Yeah. Because that would be 99% of the situations, wouldn't it? That you're talking to someone somewhere completely different.
Far away, yes. Yeah. I'm gonna put him back. There you go, sweetie. Why? Why?
Well, that was very useful. Yes. It's always good to have a body to demonstrate stuff with.
Yeah.
He's not a Christmas tree.
Yes, he is.
Anything else that you should be aware of, or you should talk to the artist about?
I would not skimp on shipping costs. Again, it's stuff they send should be tracked and traced. And
do I need to send my doll in?
I would always counsel against sending your doll, especially if you have a unique doll. I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's already if you're going to sell it, if there's a sale going on. But no, if you don't have to send it, don't send it.
Yeah.
Find somebody who has the doll, or find somebody who can do a lot with measurements. But you have to be careful. If you do measurements, you may make a mistake. They may make a mistake. They can't test it on the doll. You may have to at least move snaps around, or Velcro around, or you get something that actually doesn't fit. That happens. It's basically the worst case scenario. But yeah, if they don't have the doll, you run that risk because they can't try it out. And that's the thoughts for...
Yeah. And then once everything is all worked out, is it preferred to go through private payment or through like an online site of some sort?
It's PayPal. I would say PayPal.
But it doesn't have to be like a vetted site where artists present themselves?
It can be, but most of them you find it's not. It's very informal.
Okay.
So pay through PayPal. And be prepared to put in advance, and be prepared to have them have the advance if it turns out that the project doesn't work.
What happens? What do you do when you haven't heard from the artist for, let's say, a month?
A month is not that long for somebody who does. If it's a person who does it full time, that's another story. But if it's a person who does it in the evening hours, it's not very long. It's like 4 weekends.
Mm-hmm. I know, yeah.
It's not that long. But I would say keep in contact. Don't hound them or anything. Just keep in contact and ask for work in progress pictures, because they're always fun.
Yeah.
And.
They do it for the fun.
But also be aware that not everybody is up to taking them. So if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if they give like a verbal, hey, I'm now sewing the trousers, that should be some info anyway. It's informal.
And then the day comes that the package arrives.
Yes. Have a box opening.
Film it and show us.
Film it and show us. Take lots of pictures. Have fun. And if something goes wrong, talk to the seamstress and work it out somehow. And
don't expect perfection.
You can expect perfection in the job or near perfection. Well doneness.
Yeah.
In what she can do there.
Yeah.
So if she has the doll, she can make sure that it fits properly. But if she doesn't, she can do her best to make it fit properly, but she can't. You can't be sure.
Yeah.
And accept that.
But it's better than not getting a chance to have your particular
exactly
bespoke dress or other clothing.
Exactly.
So, it's all very cool stuff. Thank you. That was very informative.
You're welcome.
I hope you all are having a good time with your dolls and possible commissions. Do send some photos if you have them, and we hope to see you next time. Like and subscribe. Oh, big buttons and everywhere. Just press them all, and see you next time.
Bye.